Our first exercise, this first one we're going to open is called blending. So I launched Adobe Photoshop, the PS 2019, and now I'm going to say File, Open, and I'm going to navigate to my desktop to my photo folder and that folder that we just copied over from the server, and I'm going to open up the first Photoshop file called blending. All right. First of all, and I mentioned this in the presentation, but you want to navigate your actual file first. So we could take the zoom tool and click and drag and zoom. And we can take the hand tool to kind of navigate and pan around the image. My favorite is using the shortcut Command 0, and then that fits the document onto the screen really nicely. So I would recommend getting started with that. Now the other thing is your layout. Now sometimes you open it up and maybe your toolbar is missing, or maybe you're not seeing the windows that you want. So I just want to point out that if you're ever missing the toolbox or missing a palette, if you go over to Window, you'll see these are all the palettes, and then at the very top, this is your tools over here on the left, your options, which are right here, and then we have the application frame. So those are those like main ones. I also wanted to point out the different work modes. So are you using Photoshop for photography? You could use those palettes and toolbox, or are you doing motion? What are you doing? So I usually use it on essentials, and then again, if you're ever missing it, you could also go over here and say reset essentials, and then that will bring you back up to this original layout. All right, so the first thing that I need to do is come over to my layers over here, and I'm going to go over to the paper layer, and I need to make the paper layer visible. So I'm going to turn that on with it poking out the little eyeball right here. And so the first thing I want to do is I'm going to change the blending mode of the paper texture. So where it says normal, there is no blending mode on it, and I'm just going to select the different ones to kind of tell which one is doing what. And this is your preference after you've kind of gone through each one. Pick one that you like. So it just has to be evident to me that you did put a blending mode on it. And then you can move on to the next step. So I kind of like lighten. The next thing you're going to do is select the letter, and you're going to make that visible. And I want you to change the transparency of the letter to be between 25 and 50%. So we have what's called opacity here. Opaque means that you cannot see through it, and transparent means that you can. So I'm going to bring down the opacity so that it is transparent. And again, I want you to bring it between the range of 25 and 50 so that I can see that it is transparent and that you've changed the transparency. The last thing for this exercise is you're going to go to the shell, and you're going to make that visible, and you're going to put a special effect on it. So if I come down to the bottom of my layers palette, I'm going to go to the FX, and you're going to see that these are all the different kinds of effects that I can put on here. You're going to go to drop shadow, and you can change the color of the drop shadow. Maybe I want to make it more of a blue to kind of match my composition. And I can change the opacity, the transparency of it, the distance from it, the spread, or the size. So maybe it's not such a harsh edge. I might make it a little bit darker blue. And so I just pick the well here and change the color. And you can also even change the blending mode of how does it blend with the back. And so those are all the different kinds of options. Now every single special effects here has its own. So maybe I turned off drop shadow and I did an outer glow or an inner glow or something like that. You're going to see that it has its own menu, and it's going to have its own preferences that you can actually change around. So after you've done that, you're going to hit OK. And then you're also going to see in the layers menu that it has an effect, and that's the dropped shadow, and you can actually turn the effect on and off too after you put it on there. All right, so this is it for this one. You're going to file save as, and this one you're going to name first name, last name, blending, and then month, date, and year. And where it says format, you're going to change it to JPEG, and you're going to say save and OK. And that's it for this one. You can move on to the next one.